I don't want to mince words here. I just want to have a human conversation. It stands in the way of the heart opening for us in relationship, in all relationships. Does anything really stand in the way? What could possibly stand in the way of a deeper recognition of love or inseparability between humans, between you and me? What could possibly stand in the way of that? Could it be anything other than an idea? In other words, what separates us in heart, could that be anything other than an idea that each of us holds on to for a sense of self? And how open are you and I to having our hearts broken, to actually welcoming hurt in every relationship and letting that be its own teacher? I'm so serious about this that I really want to start this conversation. Forget spiritual awakening, because that can happen through this, but I'm really talking about something else, which is just human to human. Relationship. Notice when you're looking out at what you think to be an other, someone else, and you're having a conversation or you're talking about the person, and you feel this need to really challenge their viewpoint or bash them or criticize or judge or complain about them. And so why are you interested? It's a good question that I like to start with that question. Why am I interested in that? And you see, I can tell all sorts of lies to myself. I can overcompensate with the mind and say that that person is just lost. That person has it wrong. I can tell those lies if I want to. I can do it until the day that I meet the coffin, until the day that I die. I can tell those lies. That somehow I have some knowledge, or that I have the right view of reality, or the right view of politics, or the way the world should be. I can lie and say that. It's complete deception, but I can do that, and you can do that. But what I'm interested in is what's really happening. What's really going on? When I'm doing all of that, of making everybody else wrong, or attacking and criticizing and complaining about all the others, it takes a different kind of approach to simply ask a different question, which is, what is the appearance of all those others that I'm against or that I'm attacking? What does that appearance reflect back to me about myself? And if I'm in a real moment of honesty and I'm not overcompensating with the mind, I just reach, so to speak, into the body, and I can see that there's something arising in the body that's getting excited, that's feeling a bit fearful, maybe even a little bit angry and agitated. It's like that feeling or sensation is in the body. But instead of just resting into that feeling, it's just easier to overcompensate with the mind and continue pointing outward. Because I'm afraid. Aren't you afraid? Are you afraid to really look and see how you really feel inside? In the moment that you're feeling as if you have to attack back or whatever. But if I do become honest in that moment, and I just stop all the outward pointing for 1 second, and I just relax and feel into the body, then I know that the body carries its own wisdom, and it's trying to tell me something. It's usually something just like, I'm angry, I'm afraid. And if I sit with that energy and I get really honest and all the outward pointing has relaxed, then I get to see what kind of a self has been formed and what are the ideas that formed it, that made me do all the outward pointing. What is that I'm trying to protect? And if I look, it's made totally of those ideas that I'm using against others. So if I pull up the idea, if I say, this person is wrong, or I'm right, if I look right at that idea and I just ask a simple question, is that idea me? Is that me? That idea? My friend LaRue says, frame it, put it in a picture frame so that you can really see what you're calling you. Really see what you're believing to be you, and just put that idea in that picture frame and look right at that picture and ask a simple, honest question. Is that idea me? And the body might start to react with some tightness or fear or anger or contraction. And the body's saying, yes, yes, that's me. I believe that that's me. That's why I'm attacking all the others. That's why I'm outwardly pointing. So if you drop the idea and you just sit with the fear, the anger, the hurt, the anxiety, just relax and let the energy move by itself without going back to overcompensating with the mind. That's where the heart opening is. Just sitting with energy that wants to move, but that can't move as long as I'm pointing outward and not looking at this self that I take myself to be. This self that has fallen for the notion that I can be an idea. So now I have no others in that moment of honesty, in that moment of complete vulnerability. I have no others here to project my pain onto, to try to medicate the pain with by pointing outward. I have no others, and all I have is my pain. All I have is my hurt, my fear, my anger. And then I release all labels for that energy. And it's just nameless. And as it starts to move and release itself, I see that there's actually not anything here to protect. That idea that I thought that I was, it just feels quieter. It's like, I can't believe that I took myself to be that idea. And now I'm open. And the heart is open, because for me the heart opening just means no longer trying to protect myself from being hurt, from having my heart broken, from feeling really uncomfortable pain in the body. And so when that protection is not happening, and that energy of emotion is moving naturally and flowing and relaxing, there's just this openness. And that's what I call the heart opening. That's to me what a heart opening is. It's just an openness to see that I'm not that self. And then naturally, once I've had my heart broken and I've allowed that opening to happen through just sitting with that energy, I look out at the others and I realize there's not anything to be pointing outward towards. There's not anybody to correct. There's nobody to attack. I just thought there was. Why did I think there were others? Because I was afraid to look at this self that was really, really believing that that idea was me. Just afraid to look, that's all. Are you afraid to look? Are you afraid to have your heart broken and to really sit in the pain of that and let that open you up into a seeing of no self, to vulnerability? I'll give you another example that I've seen in my own life. And it's just the story of being unworthy or deficient. And so there's a real fear to look at that story. In fact, in some ways, the mind will do anything it can not to see that story, not because that story is who I am in the deepest sense. The story of being inadequate or invalid. And so instead of looking at that and letting my heart be broken, I just get busy calling you out, criticizing you, trying to shoot you down. Why? Because you look worthy. You look in the appearance to be someone important, someone valid, someone who has their crap together. And I don't like that. You know why I don't like that? Because it reinforces, it mirrors back to me that I'm inadequate. And I can't see my jealousy. I won't look at my jealousy. I won't look at my sense of inadequacy. It's just easier to point outward to you and shoot you down. Or to envy you and project all sorts of good things onto you. Whatever. I'll do anything at all instead of look at this self that feels deficient. But in the moment of being really, really honest, when I put you out of the picture, and I simply ask, what does this appearance of you, of someone who looks worthy, valid, authoritative, special, what is that appearance mirroring back to me about myself? And I can see, there it is again. There's my fear again, my fear to look at what makes up this self that I buy into. But if I'm just honest enough to look, I can frame that idea again, and the idea is there's something wrong with me, or I'm deficient, or some other viewpoint like that, and I look right at the viewpoint. And as I look at it, the body reacts, because the body's saying, yeah, you really do think that you're inadequate or deficiency. That's what the body's saying with its reaction. And if I just relax that viewpoint and set in the pain of what it's like to feel that without that idea on it, there's nothing but heart opening. Nothing. And there's nothing to fear. As that energy moves, the heart just opens and the vulnerability is there. And the openness is there, and I can't hide behind my ideas anymore. In that moment, there are no ideas to hide behind. There are no ideas to attack you with or to envy you with. I was just using those ideas to attack you or to shoot you down because I was feeling inadequate. And as I see that that idea that I'm inadequate or deficient is not me, and I've asked the question, is that me? And I see that it's not, and that energy moves, I don't have a choice anymore. The heart has to be open. You don't have a choice when you really look at the deficient self, and you look at the self that's doing all of its activities of trying to be loved and trying to be worthy or being jealous and defensive. You don't have a choice when you look back at what it is that you're actually taking yourself to be, and you're really, really honest, and you stop pointing outward. You really, really ask the question, is that idea me? What about that idea? What about this feeling? Is this feeling me? And all of that's just allowed to flow. You don't have a choice. Your heart opens. So that's what I'm asking you. Forget spiritual awakening. I'm just asking you, are you willing to have your heart broken in relationship with me, with everyone else in your life? Are you willing to be hurt so that something deeper within us can come out and recognize itself? Something that's not hung up on these ideas that we take ourselves to be.